Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've had a video. I bust the microphone on my head cam, so I had to get a new microphone, and this is the first time of trying it, so if you're hearing this, everything's gone okay. Right, so what I want to talk about on my bike is about 9 days ago I put a new chain and sprockets on. So it's a 14 tooth on the front and a 43 tooth on the rear, 520, and an RK 520 chain standard. I didn't go for another EK motocross chain. At 50 quid I can get two of these that I've put on here now for less than that. So I'm going to stick with just using a standard chain and replacing it more often. And the sprockets that I've taken off, the original sprockets on the bike, are still very, very good, to be fair. And the sprockets that I've got here are the proper ones I got through my dealer via Clement's Moto, which worked out about 47 and a few pence for the pair, including the carriage costs to the dealer. The chain was about 22 something off Amazon. It was a 520 120 link with a split link, and I obviously had to cut 10 links off it because the bike takes a 520 110, and it is the standard 14 tooth on the front and 43 on the rear. I haven't changed that at all. So putting the sprockets on, or taking the old ones off and putting the new ones on, didn't go 100% smoothly. Just a couple of little issues, first time we're doing it, and I made a schoolboy error as well, which is still there on the bike because I simply can't be arsed right now to go through taking the back wheel off to sorting it out. Yeah. So on the front sprocket, weren't too bad. Had to take off the obviously the nuts. So you had to smack flat the tab washer, which I didn't realise the sprocket didn't come with a new one. I've seen some of the kits on AliExpress which did, so I've had to reuse the original tab washer. It ain't too bad, it's alright, it's on there. So to do that, because you've got to undo the nut, the best way to do that is have the bike on the ground as it is, because you have to undo it by spinning it anti-clockwise, which obviously you're going to spin the sprocket around as you do it. So you do it with the chain still on, and get someone, if you can't get someone to do it for you, work out a way down it. But keep the bike on the ground, and as you undo it, because the chain's attached to it, it will stop spinning the sprocket and the nut will undo, and then it's just a case of nut comes off and the tab washer comes with it. I just loosened it at that point. It's a bit of an arse ache to get to it, to be honest, because down here you've got to take these two bolts out, and behind that is the reg rec, which you've got to move out of the way with this, because this wire is for that. Then behind that you've got this plastic cover here, and it's got this wire over the top of that. So I had to cut the cable tie for the, which has got it cable tied to the frame here, and then undo the nut top and bottom of that to get to the sprocket itself. It's not that bad, but it's a little bit of a pain. And then when I put it back together, I have to put it all back together, put a new cable tie on it, and everything's sorted. The rear is kind of where I buggered it up. I didn't bugger it up properly, but what I did is this bit. So basically I put the bike up on its paddock stand. I took before I done that, I actually undone the 3 bolts that holds this on. So you got this here, which is 12mm, 12mm, 13mm nut and 12mm. Take that off to get the number plate hanger off, which is what I've done. And I then lifted the bike using my paddock stand, which has got the L type rests rather than the V's that use the bobbins, and I did that, then realised I couldn't actually undo or loosen off the chain adjusters, the 17mm locking nut and the actual bolt itself. So what I did, I had to take it off, then I had to wind both the chain adjusters all the way back, and then when I did that, I put it back up on the paddock stand. I had the wire the wrong side of the paddock stand, and that was the problem, because then after that I undone the axle nut and took the axle out, and then the bike was sat there with no wheel in it. So the wheel was off, and the problem came when I went and actually put everything back together and then realised that the wire was the wrong side of the paddock stand, and that was that. And it was an arseache to get the wheel back in, because the bike was off the ground. I was on my own, and it was with the wheel sitting about 6 inches off the ground. It's awkward to get the wheel back in on your own, because you've got a space of hair between the swing arm and the sprocket, and you've got a space of hair between the wheel bearing and the actual brake caliper, and you also have to make sure that you get your disc between the two brake pads when you lift it up. So I had to lift it up while having these two spaces in, getting that in. It was such an awkward thing to do on my own, holding the wheel in the air, and then I also have to try and push the axle through the swing arm, making sure that the spacer is in the right place, push it through the wheel and hair, and then you've got to try and lift it up through there, and then you've got to put this bit back on before you put the nut on. And that took me quite a long time to do that, basically because I was on my own. It would have been a simple job if I had somebody else with me, or if I had something to put under the wheel to get the right height. Normally I use a half-ton scissor kind of lift, motorcycle scissor lift, which has got a couple of adjustable mounts on it, which I would normally put under the bike to lift the back of the bike up, and you have the whole back end free, which would have been not an issue, because then I can raise and lower the bike to match the swing arm to the hole. So I only have to maybe lift it a couple of 3mm, or I can infinitely adjust it up and down, and that way it's easy. But because of the exhaust on the bike, I couldn't do that, and I had nobody around to help me, so I had to try and do it all on my own. And by the time I got the wheel on, I put the axle through, I tightened it all up, I'd done the chain and everything like that, took it off the paddock stand, and then I went and put the number plate hanger on, and then realised my mistake, and I thought, I ain't taking all that off again to start again, because it was such a pain in the ass doing it on my own. I can adjust it as it is for now, and then when it comes to it, I've got someone with me, I can put the wire back the right way round. The other option is to actually undo thing, take it off again, and take all the number plate hanger apart and the wires out and pull it all through. It's actually easier to take the wheel off than it is to do that. And it all depends if by then I've got the number plate tail tidy, because I really like the look of that bike without that ugly gubbins sitting on the back there, and it's got a reasonable bit of weight to it. But I'm hoping the number plate hanger I've got my eye on is still available when I get paid at the end of the month. I would have had it already by now if it wasn't for the fact that I bought my missus a new handbag for the same money, and she never went and used it. Typical, isn't it? Anyway, what's done is done. I don't think there's anything else I've done except for change the tank protector, put a new one on. This kind of Union Jack looks quite nice, stuck down better than the other one. And that is basically what I've done. Other than that, I ain't done anything apart from putting some E10 fuel in it that I didn't want to do because I can't get hold of any super unleaded, or not super unleaded from a proper petrol station. I ain't putting supermarket fuel in it. I'd still rather put E10 BP or Shell Esso in it than Sainsbury's or what have you, super unleaded. I just don't like the supermarket stuff. It just doesn't look right when you see it. It looks murky. yeah, so that's all I've done. Haven't done anything else with the bike apart from ride it, which is what I'm going to do now. So muddy to say the least. The previous bike, which was like an air-cooled scrambler with twin rear shocks, it was a lot better to ride on these bumpy old roads. And it's about to get really bumpy here. 2 routes and all sorts, and you have to pick the weight up on the pegs, which isn't great on this bike. It's not like seat position or bar position present is right. Like riding a scrambler or a dirt bike. That's the worst of it. Yeah, plus I had big sort of knobbly-ish tyres, and the knobbles won't like get across, they were fairly soft, so it took a lot of that. I can actually ride that with 10 horsepower 5-speed air-cooled engine bike a lot faster on these roads than I can this 4-power liquid-cooled 6-speed street bike. Simply because suspension is a lot harder on this, a lot less forgiving, plus it's got short travel upside down front forks, whereas the other bike had standard forks on it with a lot more travel on them. And the twin shocks are a lot better for this sort of thing really, compared to this single shock that's not designed and not set up for rough terrain. Right, loose stuff. Plenty of papers. There's nobody to sort them. Right, so I have a conundrum. This bike is now at 5,830 miles, so it's 170 miles to the next service, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to do it or not. Well, it's not a case of I'm not going to do the service, it's whether to be have the dealer do it to maintain the warranty, and the reason being is it's really expensive with my dealer. For a 600 mile service was 150 odd quid for 1 litre of oil, a 10 quid oil filter, and oil disposal. They charge 3.5 quid for disposing 1 litre of oil, which they pour in a 25 gallon drum. Or no, 50 gallon drum. I think it's a 50, not even be 100, but I'm pretty sure it's a 50 gallon drum. So that's a lot of oil in there, £3.50 for a litre. So yeah, I come to the first 600 mile one about 150, high 150s. And the bike felt great. I'm not going to deny that, the bike felt brand spanking new, but with power and the gearbox was smoother. And that's simply due to the change of oil. Yeah, because the oil has changed to top the bike running oil rather than the thing running in oil. So yeah, that was alright, felt great, everything like that. And then came the second service at 3,000 mile, which then came in at 170 quid. So why is that so much money? Considering, again, all they did, consumable-wise, was 1 litre of oil and an oil filter and disposal fee. That's it. The rest of it is basically labour for going over the bike and checking cables and bits and pieces like that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what are you doing? Sit on the bike, get on the bike, take it out of one pipe to drain the oil, and just walking away and leaving it. Why can't you, while it's draining the oil, be doing things like adjusting the clutch cable, checking the throttle cables, because this bike has got two. It's got
Bonus you throttle up, and when you twist it back, it's got to twist it back. So this has got 2 throttle cables on it at the throttle body. Well, so checking the brake reservoirs, the brake fluids okay, and all of that sort of stuff. All of that can be done while the bike is sitting there with the oil draining out of it. But I know full well what they're doing. They're letting the bike sit there for about half an hour or so, and then charging me an hour's labour for that. Because I'm pretty sure it's 2 hours labour, because the 170 bill was about 20 quid, something like that, and they said they put their hourly rates up to 70 quid an hour. Well, that's 2 hours at 140 quid, and then 20 odd quid's worth of oil, filter and disposal. So, what was it, the first hour, you left it took an hour to do an oil change, and then an hour just to go round and just slightly adjust a couple of cables. That's just rubbish. And the next one, I can't remember if 6,000 is to do with the air filter. I'm thinking, Jesus, that's going to go up another 15-20 quid on the filter, and then is that going to be like another job where they're not going to do it, the oil draining on it, which is literally just pop the side panel, pop the side panel off, 2 screws, put a little plastic cover off, and then yank the filter out, shove the other one in, and then put the screws and blah 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 back. So is that what they're going to do? I think, no, the bike cost me $3,000, and I've already spent over 10% of the cost of the bike on 2 services, which I could have done myself for 50 quid. Just watching that Arctic. So yeah, is it a case of I just do it myself? I mean, the air filter thing, it's an air filter. It's easy. So, yeah, I'm decided. It's a lot of money to do a very easy job. There ain't a lot I can not do on this bike. I can do all the engine internals, to be quite honest with you, if I had all the tools, which I don't. If I had the tools I could. It's not that difficult. I'm steady there, aren't you, man? So yeah, I don't really know what to do. Man, that seemed quick, that silly. Okay, you're sitting behind the car being, something it's dead air. Seemed a bit quick. So yeah, I don't know what to do. Let me know in the comments what you think. It's a lot of money. Hope is pretty solid, so I don't know. Don't want to spend over 170 quid on another pretty little service, which I can do myself for less than 25 quid. Which takes me like half an hour, and that's letting the engine, letting the oil drain out. Might be a warmed it up a bit. Alright, let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Because the bike is, what do I think, it's October. It'll be, what's today's date? Where do you go, time? The 18th today, so I've had it exactly 10 months yesterday. Got it on the 17th of December 2020. It seems a lot of money to get a stamp in a book. I don't know. I can't believe that CBF. I'm surprised how quick these little 5-speed bikes are. I've got about 10 horsepower. What is it? 13 plate. Now see, that's more than 10 horsepower on that. Because that would have, look, my tool touched the road, that would have a carb. So, yeah, get a little bit more, go maybe 11 to 11 and a half horsepower out of that, give or take. So, yeah, it does about 65. A bit better than you think they are. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.